most of the problems we do this semester are going to be in two dimensions. So it becomes useful to look at some properties of vectors that are special to two dimensions. So for example, imagine if we have some vector r, whose magnitude is capital R. Well, since a vector is a magnitude and a direction, that means there's going to be a whole set of vectors with magnitude r. In fact, if we wanted to look at that entire set, we'd see that what we really have is a circle with radius capital R, and each vector r, if you start in the origin, is going to point to some point on this circle. Now, how is that useful? Well, let's draw our axes, so our y-hat direction and the x-hat direction. And so we'll start with some vector r, which is going to be rx in the x direction, ry in the y direction. Okay? So we have rx and ry. So you may remember from trigonometry that the sine of theta is just the opposite over the hypotenuse, which in this case is ry divided by the magnitude of r. Or in other words, ry is equal to the magnitude of r sine theta. Similarly, cosine theta is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, which is rx divided by the magnitude of r. Or in other words, rx is equal to r cosine theta. So that means we can rewrite r in terms of rx and ry as r is equal to capital R, which is the magnitude of r, times cosine theta x hat plus sine theta y hat. So now what we've done is we've taken our vector. We see that now we really can write it as a magnitude and a direction, right? R and theta. But, I'm sorry, where theta, of course, is this angle. Of course, now let's say we're given rx and ry instead of theta, and so we want to find r. We want to find out what the angle is that makes up r. Well, we know that the tangent of theta is the opposite over the adjacent, which in this case is ry over rx. So in other words, theta is equal to the inverse tan or arctan of ry over rx. So this gives us an easy way that we can move back and forth between if we know the magnitude and the angle, or if we just know what the x and y components are. These give us two different ways that we can look at constructing a vector. Okay, so now we've explored almost all of the properties that we can look at vectors, but with an important exception. We've never really talked about what these x hat and y hat, these unit vectors, are. So in the next couple modules, we're going to look at what is a unit vector, and how can we use these to our advantage.